Welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. In this video, is a book review on The Devils, right now, by Joe Abercrombie. And I'll give a brief synopsis of this if y'all want to check this out, because I will be doing spoilers here in a second. So it's like a fictional Vatican Church meets the Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad is like with supernatural like monsters, so like vampires. There's like a vampire, werewolf. There's a necromancer. There's a elf as well in it. So if that seems like something you might be interested in reading, then obviously go read that, and then come back, watch this video, or just go and enjoy the book. So yeah, it's a very cool cover, by the way. You can see like they got the little crown here, candles as horns on the skull. The skull and the crown acts as like the mandible. But also it has also another cool, because that's like just the sleeve of this hardback. Let me take this out. Take this out of the sleeve. I'll just set it down on the floor. So yeah, it's also got all that, which looks pretty sick. Those gold crossbones down there. Pentagram, and it says, "The worst monsters make the best allies." That's what it says around there. And it's also got some pretty nice artwork on the inside too. So it's got some of the character artwork, and right there. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool looking book. Anyways, so yeah, I guess we can just jump straight into this video. I'm going to give the first thing I'm going to talk about, and I think this will be a continuation of all the videos going forward, is I will do the plot first, so that we know the plot of the book, and then I'll also then go into characters afterwards. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the plot here. So I gave the plot a 7 out of 10, and I know I mentioned this in my last book review, that I'm trying to be a little harsher on the books. I did enjoy the book quite a bit. So anyways, let me try to give a brief plot synopsis. So we start with Brother Diaz, who is like a monk of the church, and he gets summoned to the Holy City to basically be the priest to this congregation of monsters, and he doesn't know that yet, but that's why he was summoned. And then their task, since they're like the Suicide Squad, basically, their task is to basically put this Princess Alexia, whose mother was killed, and she was sent to the Holy City as a child, and was raised on the streets as like a little street rat thief kind of character. And then her uncle finds her and wants to put her on the throne instead of her cousins, which are the sons of the empress that just died. So there was Empress Irene, who was the empress of Troy, and then she was murdered by Eudoxia, who was her younger sister, who then took the throne afterwards, and then she then died as well, and now her sons are basically warring for the throne. And Eudoxia was this basically like wicked sorceress type of person. So yeah. And then Alexia's uncle, Duke Michael, wants to put Alexia on the throne. And that's basically what they do. The rest of the plot is basically them journeying to going to Troy, getting into running into her cousins, and that most of them want to kill her because they want the throne for themselves. So and the cast of characters basically is defending the princess the entire time, and they kill 3 out of 4 of her cousins. The eldest one actually doesn't want to kill her, and instead is going to basically they're supposed to be married. So yeah, and the first one had so they all have basically their mother Empress Eudoxia's experiments. Each of the 4 cousins. So one has these animal human hybrids, I don't know, experiments. They're more like mammals, I guess, is how you would describe them. And then that was Morcant. I don't remember all of the cousins' names. I do remember Constance is the one I remember the best. So then he gets killed by Vega, who is the werewolf, and then we have Constance, who gets killed by who they meet on the sea in a sea battle, and he basically has fish people are his soldiers basically, and Constance gets killed by Jacob of Thorn, who's a immortal warrior from the Crusades. He's basically like a zombie, but doesn't act like a zombie, not a traditional zombie. He basically just can't die. That's his whole thing. And so he kills Constance using his ability to not die, because Constance is a better swordsman than he might not have been a better swordsman, but since Jacob has been alive for so long, his body is mostly he's got a bunch of scars and stuff on his body, and it's if you read the book, every time you have something from Jacob's perspective, he's always complaining about all the stiffness in his body and the creaking joints. So yeah, but he uses his immortality. Basically, he gets stabbed through the chest with a sword, and then grabs Constance and pulls him onto the blade. That is because I think he gets stabbed through the back or something, and then he grabs Constance, pulls him to the blade, and that's how Constance dies. And then they are shipwrecked and wash up on shore and are separated, and then there's also the next cousin that they have to deal with. And now this one doesn't have any special warriors. Instead, he himself took his mother's experiments and added it to his own body. So he basically has these wings, these white bird wings that'll let him fly, basically. And he dies from Balthazar, the necromancer. Learns a lot more about magic in that fight, or he realizes basically that his understanding is not. He does not understand magic like he thought he did, and so yeah. And then eventually in part 4 we get to Troy, and everything seems all hunky dory. They crown Alex. The devils are about to leave, and then she's about to basically consummate her marriage with to her cousin, and then boom, her handmaids turned out to be Eudoxia's apprentices, and one of them freezes Alex's last cousin and shatters him completely. And then so she runs away, lights this flaming beacon of Troy, and that alerts the devils that something's obviously gone amiss. So then they head back and go help Alex, and then it is revealed that Duke Michael is actually not a good guy, and he was working with the cardinal from the church that actually sent them on this mission to basically, so that he can basically take the throne and kill all the competition. Basically, and that was the main goal of this mission. But Duke Michael ends up getting killed by Jacob, because I think Jacob tackles him off the tower of Troy, and they plummet to their death. Well, Duke Michael's death, because, Jacob is immortal, so, good for him, right? And then another thing is, he was also, Duke Michael was supposed to marry this woman called Lady Severa. And she was supposed to be the trusted one that he sent the letter that Princess Alexia was still alive, and that she would become the Empress of Troy. Obviously, whenever we learn that Duke Michael's not a good person, which I think was kind of obvious, but because especially considering how fat, because they left the city and then immediately got attacked, and then they kept immediately getting attacked again and again and again. Clearly they know where they're going to be, or at least have a good idea of where the Princess Alexia is going to be. So I think that there was obviously a traitor. So yeah, after we find out that happens, and Lady Severa was supposed to be the one who was going to work and get everything set up so that she could come to the city of Troy and be all fine. But yeah, I think that's about it. Alexia becomes the Empress of Troy. All of her competition's dead, basically, and then the devils leave, but Brother Diaz stays behind and becomes her personal pastor, and is basically risen up in the ranks and becomes Father Diaz. Another thing, though, is that's actually kind of important to the story, is that Lady Severa actually turns out to be Eudoxia, who basically transferred her soul into Lady Severa's body, and is now... So only Balthazar knows that, though. So he's the only one who figured that out, and he's keeping it to himself. So yeah, and I think, that's the whole plot of the book. I really enjoyed it. I thought the concept was very good. I don't know. I mean, there were obviously things that I think were a little obvious, but this is just a straightforward, I would say it's a fairly simple plot line. Very, very straightforward and progressive in you progress through it step by step. It's separated into 4 parts, and each part basically deals with one of the cousins. So, because even in the last one, it also deals with that cousin dies. So I don't know, but I mean, you could definitely tell, not that it's a bad thing, but they're definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Geez, I'm having a big old brain fart on that word. I'm sure you get what I'm saying. I don't know. I can't remember what the word is. Geez, that's so dumb of me. Anyways, I think we should just get to the characters now. Characters, I gave a 8 out of 10 to characters. So, I mean, you have Brother Diaz, who is just he starts out as a pretty ambitious monk who wants to rise in the ranks of the church, and then he gets saddled with this congregation of all these monsters, and basically he's just terrified of them the entire time. And he quickly forgets his ambition, because he's oh, well, I'd rather just live. Just living's good enough. So yeah, tropes is the word I was thinking of. there are tropes that you can tell in this book. There are tropes. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And I mean, they're because tropes are tropes for a reason, right? So I think it works out fine, and it's quite enjoyable. Anyways, back to what I was saying with characters. So yeah, a lot of the characters, I will say, also kind of revolve around what their relationship is with, kind of with Alex, because she's kind of the main character for this book. I don't know if he'll make another one for this. So I mean, at the end it kind of sets up for there being another one, but I don't know. So yeah, and Brother Diaz basically forms this teacher-student relationship with Alex, and because he's teaching her how to read and write, since she never learned that because she was an orphan street rat, basically. That, like, she was like a pickpocket, pretty much. And then another part of his character is him overcoming his fear of these monsters that he's with and actually starting to treat them like they're people, and then also basically renewing in his faith as well, and his struggle with his lust as well is also a big part of his character, because he has a very sexual and lustful relationship with Viga, who is a Viking woman, and she's also a werewolf, which, I mean, in my opinion, I wish we got to see more out of that relationship, or like, because it started kind of as a sexual attraction between both characters. I wish we got to see it form into an actual relationship, but it's whatever. Because there is one relationship that there's only one relationship that actually we get, and it is the one that I was least interested in happening, and I don't think it should have happened. So, and we'll talk about it very soon, I'm sure. Anyways, that's pretty much it for Brother Diaz. He basically, I mean, it's like for him and for Alexia, it's basically them coming into their roles. Him as a priest and Alexia as an empress. So that's pretty much their character arc. And the thing is, with this book, I mean, the plot line is fairly straightforward and simple. So a lot of what I enjoyed out of this book is how the characters interacted with each other. And my favorite brother relationship with another character that Brother Diaz had was with Viga and Jacob of Thorn were my two favorites that he had. Anyways, that's Brother Diaz. And then we have Alexia, who is the street rat turned empress. And I think she grows the most in this one, because originally she's kind of just going along with it, seeing what she can get out of this. But then eventually she sticks with it, and she learns how to read and write from Brother Diaz. She learns history from Balthazar. She learns proper etiquette from Baron Ricard, and she learns a lot of other things from another character called Baptiste, who is basically a jack of all trades. And she basically learns, and she also learns how to lead, I think, by watching Jacob. Maybe. So yeah. It's really, she comes into the role of Empress, pretty much, is her whole character arc. She's basically friends with all of the cast of characters, all of the devils, and then we do, even though she does actually become the Empress, we do see kind of her childish side while she's still on the throne, and talking with Ziska, who we know betrayed her and basically sent her on this suicide mission because she basically wants Ziska to leave the devils with her, since they became friends and they're basically the only people she can trust to protect her because she's in an unfamiliar land with no allies, pretty much. And she also developed a relationship with one of the devils, that being Sunny the elf. So yeah. Yeah, I think the only one she didn't really become friends with was Balthazar also. But Balthazar is a bit of a prick, so that's to be expected. He's a narcissistic asshole, is how you would sum him up. Yeah, alright. And now we'll get into Sunny here. She is an elf who turns invisible by holding her breath. Elves are basically elves are what the Crusades were fought against, so they're basically like deemed as the enemies of the church, and soulless abominations. Pretty much is how they are viewed in the society, and so Sunny has a really hard time understanding humans, and she doesn't really know how to emote in the same way that they do, and her main desire is to be like, because she basically goes throughout this entire book basically being invisible and doing things and not getting recognized for doing those things. So she really desires to be seen, and then throughout the book she forms a friendship with Alex, which turns into a actual intimate relationship later, which honestly I could not care less about that relationship. First of all, due to my faith, lesbian relationships are not very good, and they should not be shown in any sort of good light, I don't think. And this was also the least interesting possible relationship we could have gotten. There was the least amount of character growth in this relationship. It's basically just, and that's it. Because if it was like if we did one that actually focused on Brother Diaz and Viga the werewolf, I think that would have been interesting, because it would have been Brother Diaz, his struggle with his lust, and then but also being willing to commit himself to a single woman. And then Viga, she is kind of a sex pest and will basically have sex with anything that moves. So I think it would have been interesting to see her also try to have a monogamous relationship with Brother Diaz. But I think the most interesting one that we could have gotten, relationship that we could have gotten, is between Balthazar and Baptiste. Because Balthazar starts as this arrogant, basically piece of crap, and then over time he realizes how kind of not good he is, and he actually starts to mellow out towards the end of the book, and he starts liking Baptiste, because also another character that actually gets interested in Balthazar and his talent as a sorcerer is Eudoxia, or Eudoxia in Lady Severa's body, which Lady Severa is described as this very beautiful woman and very elegant and all that stuff. And Balthazar basically turns her down, and is like, in his mind, he's like, actually, I just want Baptiste, I'm good. So, and then, which kind of sucks, because later we find out that, because he basically gets into this draw with Eudoxia, lets Eudoxia run away, goes out to check on everybody, and finds out that Viga and her werewolf state ate and killed Baptiste, which kind of sucked for him. But I think that would have been the most interesting relationship dynamic, and I think it would have been better if Sonny and Alex just were just friends, and there wasn't that more sexual relationship. Anyways, Jacob of Thorn. He was the immortal knight from the Crusades. I know he's from the Second Crusade, I believe. He's basically the de facto leader of the group, and he really, really wants to die. Not because he's depressed or anything. I don't think he's depressed, but he's basically duty bound, and his body just is kind of just an annoyance. Every time he moves, he basically is in pain. So I think he just really just was like, can I just go to sleep already? And his main struggle throughout the book, I think, is his faith as well. And towards the end, he sort of regains it as Alex gives him this symbol of the saint of the warriors or knights, and he takes it. So, and I feel like he is drawn to it. And then we also get a very nice talk with Brother Diaz. I can't exactly remember what Brother Diaz said to. Oh yes, because Jacob is kind of thinks he's unredeemable. He's killed so many people. How can he ever possibly be redeemed? And he's already so old, And then Brother Diaz basically says to him, it's like, well, yeah, you're immortal, so you have all the time in the world to find your redemption, right? And so yeah, I thought that was a pretty nice moment, very insightful from Brother Diaz, and he actually acted like a proper priest, I would say, helping out his one of his congregation, one of his flock. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to Jacob of Thorn, though. He hardly changes throughout the book. So yeah. Anyways, let's get to Baron Ricard, the vampire of the group. And we do not get much of him. He is only really impactful towards the end of the book when all the devils are about to leave, and then they see the light from the lighthouse change, because it's like a flame, and then they put stuff in it, and then it changes color. You know how that stuff works if you've taken any sort of science class. And then we have we then learn that basically the pact that they were all the devils were put into, the Papal binding, apparently it affects the soul, and since Baron Ricard is a vampire, he does not have a soul, therefore he is not affected by this at all, and he's actually just there because he wants to be there, pretty much. That's really the only character moment he gets. Otherwise, he basically stays the same, which is fair for an immortal person. Like, they would basically stay the same the entire time. Okay, Vigo. I realize I have a lot of written down for these characters. Oh my goodness. Okay, where do we even start with her? She's a Viking. She's also a werewolf, and she will fuck anything that moves. That's her character, pretty much. She's also very forgetful, and often forgets things that she's trying to say. And she really struggles with having killed so many people, and fighting against the wolf that's inside of her. And then, yeah, she develops that sexual relationship with Brother Diaz, which I wish became more romantic, but instead, pretty much right after that, they run into third cousin and that third cousin also had a werewolf with them, and then Vika immediately fucks that werewolf. So that other werewolf. So, and then also very impactful character moment with her at the end when she kills Baptiste, and she gets very depressed that she did this at the end, and basically hates herself. Brother Diaz tries to console her, but doesn't really get much of a chance to speak to her because Ziska's already. I mean, she's in a cage, and Ziska's already taking her away, pretty much. Like, Brother Diaz basically tries to tell her that it wasn't her fault. It was the wolf inside of her, and that her and the wolf are not the same. And I don't know what's gonna happen with Vigo, but she'll probably just forget about it. To be completely honest. If Joe Abercrombie decides to make another book based on the Devils. I don't know what that one would be called, but anyways, that's mainly Viga's character right there. Very sure. I'm trying to go through this stuff a little bit faster. So then we have Baptiste. She has many talents. She's a normal human. And I don't think she really even has a character perspective in this. I think her main role in the book was basically to get killed in the end and have a emotional sense of loss towards the end of the book, because none of the actual other characters die. And then she also has that sort of pseudo relationship with Balthazar. It's like a will they won't they thing, I think. And that's pretty much it for Baptiste. Balthazar, the greatest necromancer in all of Europe. He's arrogant, self-absorbed. He basically, the Pope in this world is like a 10-year-old girl, and she basically, and we don't learn much about the magic system, but it revolves around circles, I think, because it's the cross in this world. And so the little Pope does the papal binding, which is basically and draws a line on each of their wrists, where their wrists are, and then so if they don't listen to Brother Diaz, or if they don't try to fulfill their mission, then they try to betray the church in any way, they vomit profusely. And it's not a very good thing. And basically, Balthazar wants to break this binding, because it's basically an affront to magic, because it's just a line and has nothing to do with circles or symbols or anything. It is straight up just a line on his wrist. And my goodness, he cannot break it at all. He tries once in Venice, doesn't work, almost gets and it sucked. And then he tries again later by summoning a literal demon, a Duke of Hell, and that demon, it's like yes, I will. You've set me upon this world. I will free you of this binding. Let me see it. And then he shows it to this Duke of Hell, and then basically just turns away. It's yeah, I can't do that. See ya. So yeah. And then that's the point where he realizes that this Pope might actually be freaking incredible. Might be the second coming of the Messiah, is basically how I think it's phrased. And then after that, he runs into the two of the apprentices of Eudoxius, and basically sees these two elements which he thought could not interact with each other at all, are actually able to, and that there's actually some sort of similarities between them. And then he basically is shook. He's I don't know anything about magic, actually. I need to learn from the beginning again. And that's kind of what he starts doing. He starts thinking of these ideas that he thought would never have been possible, but now he's starting to rethink about them. And then he also is the one to discover that Eudoxia put her soul into Lady Severa, and that she still lives, and he keeps that information to himself because, he still has the binding. He's still going to be basically like a slave to the church, and he's like, I will break this binding eventually. I know it works on the soul now, and who better to help me than Eudoxia, whose whole thing was trying to figure out how the soul works. That's what she wanted the most. Alright, now that's all of the devil characters, I believe. Like the devils, like people that are working for the church that got sent on this mission. Now, Duke Michael. Great villain, I think. Uncle of Eudoxia. No, brother of Eudoxia and Irene. Irene was the first empress that we learned about, and was killed. Duke Michael is the uncle to Alexia. Another thing that I forgot to mention about Alex is that she actually is not Princess Alexia. Princess Alexia was somebody that her mother was killed, and she was sent to the Holy City, and she did have that like coin necklace and the birthmark, and then she died to a plague that swept through the Holy City, and the now Alex took that girl's name, faked the mark on her neck, like the birthmark on her neck, by I don't know, I think it was she burned it into her skin or something. I honestly, I don't know how she did it, and then took that coin, that half of a coin that Princess Alexia had. So this Alex is actually not Princess Alexia. Princess Alexia is dead, but she is posing as that person, and the only person she told that to was Sonny. Anyways, so Duke Michael did not know that either. I'm sure he thought that she was Princess Alexia. Anyways, we also learn that Duke Michael actually poisoned Irene and then blamed Eudoxia for it. And Irene is Alex's mother, not necessarily Alex's mother, but that's, because she's not really Alex. Now, to be fair, I did know that he was the bad guy for quite a while. Because, it's just the most obvious, right? It's the most obvious. Still, I think he's a good villain. We also learned that the one thing I didn't really see coming, because even before we got, while Balthazar was fighting Lady Severa, I'm like, oh, she's actually Eudoxia. Eudoxia somehow became, transferred her consciousness into Lady Severa. I figured that out before it was revealed, and then but what I did not see coming was that Cardinal Ziska was in on the plot with Duke Michael. I did not see that coming, so that was a good twist right there. So yeah. Okay, last character I want to talk about briefly is Lady Severa. She was, before Eudoxia took her over, she was Eudoxia's first apprentice. And then Eudoxia took over her body, and then Duke Michael proposed to Lady Severa. Eudoxia accepted said proposal because she's the one who's in Lady Severa's body, and Duke Michael does not know that it is his sister. And the reason she accepted this is because she wants to get at the throne. So basically what would have happened is they would have gotten married, then probably Eudoxia would have killed him and then just taken the throne. If that was the case. But then as Eudoxia is fighting Balthazar, she basically realizes, why do I even want the throne? It did nothing but paint a target on my back. You know what? Fine. I will leave. Let that little girl take the throne. So yeah, I don't know. We might, if he decides to continue, make this a series. I don't know if that was his plan or not, or if he just planned this as a one-off book. He might do something with her later in a future book. Okay, that is all of the characters. Again, I gave characters an 8 out of 10. I really liked the characters. I thought they were pretty good. Okay, world building. World building, I gave a 6 out of 10. I thought it was okay. It's mainly based off of, like, our own world, pretty much. There's, like, Italy, and then there's, like, Greece and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure there is a map included in here. Yeah. See? It's like that. That's what it looks like. That's the map. There's the map. Yeah, you have Sicily. So yeah, it's like Italy is right here. Like over here would be like Spain and whatnot. So yeah, it's fairly similar to our world. And so like the only real thing that we can know is like history and magic and stuff. And we don't really get that. All we really get is that there is disdain for the elves. We know magic has something to do with circles from Balthazar, and that's all we get on the magic. And we get some bits and pieces about the Crusades through Jacob of Thorn, and then that's it. The extent of world building mainly consists of that werewolves and all this stuff exist. And we know that because the characters exist. And that's pretty much it. So that's why I said it wasn't very good at world building. Now, emotional impact is pretty good. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for emotional impact. I thought it was very good, especially like whenever Alex's handmaids ended up being Eudoxia's apprentices. That was pretty crazy. That was a twist I did not see coming either. Because like it's basically like she comes in to bring in like some more wine and then freezes Alex's last cousin and then shatters him, which was pretty crazy. And it's all 4 of her handmaids too. And like literally just moments before they're all dolling up Alex pretty much. And then the duel between Jacob and Constance was I thought that was a really good duel. But the real thing is emotion wise is definitely the relationships between the characters. They were all pretty likable, especially towards the end. I didn't like some of the decisions, like I mentioned earlier. I didn't care for Alex and Sonny's relationship. I'd much rather have seen either Brother Diaz and Viga or Balthazar and Baptiste have a relationship, and so that's kind of why it gets a 7 and not higher. Otherwise, I might have given it an 8, or yeah, probably an 8. I don't think I would have given it a 9. But yeah, I thought it's pretty good for emotional impact stuff. I don't know what else to really say about that stuff. I don't know. It's pretty good, you know. Now, structure-wise, I actually kind of like the structure. It's separated into 4 parts, each part having to deal with one of the cousins. Technically, the last part is mainly more about Duke Michael, but that's the last cousin does show up, so it's fine, and dies. Also, this book does not have numbered chapters. Instead, it has chapter titles. I like chapter titles. I think they're pretty neat because it basically gives you an insight onto what the chapter will kind of be about. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to having chapter titles. An advantage of not having chapter titles is that you can just write the name and number of the chapter, the name of the character's perspective, who it's going to be, which allows the reader to know what character they are reading from easier, and it also allows them to also, I guess, know how many chapters are in the book, which can be helpful sometimes. Not necessarily helpful, but it's nice to know, you know. Now, an advantage, I think, for chapter titles is that they, God, I had one, but I don't remember what I was going to say. Well, they're more fun, that's for sure. Yeah, I think it's like what I've already said, though. They give kind of an insight onto what's going to happen in the chapter. Although I will say that Joe Abercrombie did kind of jump a bit between the characters in each chapter, so therefore I think chapter titles are a better way to go than they are for like character perspective chapters. So yeah, I gave Structure an 8 out of 10 for that. And it's very chronological as well. So yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for this video. The final score comes out to be I did the math, so it came out to be a 3.6 out of 5. I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend other people read it, especially if that synopsis I gave at the beginning of the video is of interest to you. I would definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be the end of this video. So if you liked this video, then please do leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.